when I went to stand up, one of my rings that I always wear snapped clean in half. I don't know how. I can't explain it. Not too long ago, somebody asked me what made me believe in the paranormal and supernatural. And truthfully, I was always sceptical. Always so sceptical. But when I was 18, I visited a place called Chillingham Castle, and I had no idea what it was until I went. It was me and my friends. We stayed over for 2 nights, and at the time I thought it was just going to be like a silly, kind of caravan vacation. If you're from the UK, you know what I mean, when you're young and you just want to have drinks with your friends. Oh, I didn't realise it was the most haunted castle in the UK, if not the world, one of the most haunted active sites. So it really opened my eyes, and it really made me believe in something more. Now, that was a long while ago now, over a decade. I'm 35 at time of recording, so, it's been some time since I was 18. Back then, I took loads of pictures, and there was full apparitions in these pictures. But sadly, I don't have those pictures anymore because I was frightened. I deleted the blooming things because I was paranoid that I was going to get haunted through the pictures. So that's a bust. And I really regret the fact that I've deleted these things, but I can't undo it. I guess I don't have to prove to anyone else what I believe, but it made me believe at least. So at time of recording, I've come full circle, and I've recently gone back, and I'm here to share my experience with you guys. Now, I wasn't able to film the whole thing because to film the thing, you have to rent the actual castle and get permissions and stuff like that. And I'm not able to do that. But I did go on a ghost hunt, and I took some pictures where I could. So I'm here to tell you what happened, what went down. So let's get into it. Now, if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I'm Sarah, that divination witch. This channel is a witchy community and safe space, meaning that we can agree to disagree. Not everyone is going to get along, going to get the same opinions about things, but we keep it civil. We don't tolerate crap here. So if you want to join, hit subscribe. It's free. And if you would like to support me and the channel, all of my links are in the description below, and I'd be grateful if you could have a look. I offer lots of different types of readings. I've got Patreon, I'm teaching on there about Hecate, tarot, magic. We're doing a path working. So if you want to learn, go check it out. Thanks. Hi everyone, I'm here at Chillingham Castle. Today is Friday the 4th of July. I am here to do a ghost tour. I can't film while on the tour, but I will be taking pictures. Chillingham Castle is the place that truly made me believe in the paranormal and the spiritual. It is said to be the most haunted castle in the UK. It's up there with other places in the world as a very haunted place. So this is going to be a bit of a vlog with a difference because I can't film while on the tour. So I'll film when I get home, but I'll take loads and loads of pictures. I'm dead excited to be here. Yeah. 4th of July is when I went. Friday the 4th of July. So Chillingham Castle, if you don't know, is a castle located on the English side of the border region between England and Scotland. It's been there for hundreds of years. It was a wartime castle from like the 1200s. In the times of Braveheart, if you've ever watched that movie, yep, it was that day and age. So when it was a wartime castle, a fortress, of course, naturally, it saw a lot of bloodshed. The English and the Scottish were not nice to each other. There was a lot of unalivings and not nice things happening there. Plus, it was also a product of its time, not just the war aspect, but life was hard in those days. Like, life is not that easy now. Of course not, but, it was really hard then. Torturing people was just like a given thing. So a lot of stuff like that went down at this castle. And so it is a hotspot for spiritual activity, for hauntings and other things as well. So I'm going to give you my account of what happened at this ghost hunt. At the castle, there are a lot of resident ghosts. If you Google Chillingham Castle, you will see this. There are a lot of resident hauntings. Have a Google. I went into this knowing some of the information, but I wanted to go into it relatively blind. I mean, I'd been there when I was younger, as I've said, but I didn't research the whole background of every spirit there. I wanted to rely on the guide of the tour. Now, the guide is a guy called Richard. He says that he has worked within the field for many years, paranormal investigations, spiritual stuff, all that jazz. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, to be honest, because it was that long ago I'd been. And when I went, it was me and my friends. We didn't use equipment. We had stuff happen. I'll maybe tell you that story at the end, but I want to get this across first. So, when I went there, we started in what is now the tea room. So the castle, people can visit all times of day, you know, people can go just to see the castle during the day. You can do that. You can stay over at the castle as well, which I did when I was younger. So they have a room in the castle that is a little cafe, a tea room. So we all met up there, and he did have all this ghost hunting equipment. It's stuff personally I don't really use. Being a witch and someone with psychic gifts, it's not that I don't need them, but I just don't gel with that. It's not that it's wrong. It's not that it doesn't work. Why would I need that when I can do a reading? Why would I need that when I can sense things, you know? So in this cafe, underneath directly is where the original dungeons of the castle are. There's a lot of rumours about the dungeons of the castle. Obviously a lot of heinous things happened there, a lot of torturing, a lot of unaliving. The guy who owns Chillingham Castle now, Sir Humphrey, he decided to block off the original dungeon because he didn't like the vibe of it. There are people who say, when you look it up, that there was a séance that went wrong and all sorts of stuff. According to Richard, that wasn't the case. I do bear in mind that a lot of these ghost stories are sensationalised for a reason, for views, for custom, but you know, it is what it is. It's like urban legends, it happens. It's what us humans do. We put a dramatic spin on things, on the whole. But the original torture chamber is below the cafe area. However, they do have some of the original equipment from the torture chamber, and they have moved it next door, which was another chamber, I believe, is where... Was it the livery? I can't remember. It was a functional room in the castle, let's say it like that. So within this room is where we started truly the investigation. We were all given dowsing rods that he made the ends glow in the dark. I had brought my own pendulum with me. I had also done a protection spell with Hecate before going. I was nervous about it. I had some personal things going on during the week, you see, and I felt a little bit disempowered, but there was no need to be nervous, to be honest. I was totally fine. Although some strange things happened, which I'll get into in a bit. So we started in this room where the torture equipment is. I felt brave and I stood with my back to the torture equipment. I took some pictures. The pictures I have took, I haven't really picked up much on. There's only one picture that I picked something up in. It wasn't like last time, which I'm gutted about. But, spoiler, I will be going back later in the year and hopefully can take more pictures. So we can hopefully capture some things on camera. The reason I didn't take too many is not just because you're not allowed to record, but also because I didn't want to disturb other people's ghost hunting experience. There was a group of like 9 of us. I didn't want the flash going off on the camera when they're, trying to do their things. It's just not fair. So I did what I could. So in this room, they were calling out to different spirits. We tried different methods. We had the dowsing rods. We were asking the spirits different questions. We were using the EVP readers and the spirit box and all sorts. During this time, the guide was calling upon a character called John Sage. He did say something about using his more ancient name, which I asked about, and he said it, and I can't remember the pronunciation for the life of me. John Hannison something. Basically, the guide explained that it was his Saxon name, and so they've named him John Sage. If you look up John Sage, he's meant to be one of the most nasty spirits in the UK. He's a product of his time. And I do believe that a lot of it will be sensationalised, as these things are, as urban legends come to be. But John Sage was the torturer in the castle. So he was part of the king's army, but he injured his leg. He earned the nickname John Dragfoot because of that, because he couldn't fight anymore. He was a lieutenant. He took charge of the prisoners in the castle. So the Scottish people, they would capture the prisoners, they would torture and kill. And he was in charge of that. And apparently he relished it. Apparently he killed 50 people a week, which is quite a number. But if you look him up, he did get his comeuppance. He accidentally killed his lover. Different takes on that if you look it up. His lover's father, the lady's father, was part of a border reaver clan or something like that. And basically, John was hung as punishment, like he was unalived, he was, killed, and people apparently, while he was being hung, chopped bits of him off. Very gruesome. So he did kind of get his comeuppance. But yeah, it's very much a product of his time. He was doing his job, but it's not to say he didn't enjoy it. I'm not him, I don't know. That's the vibe I get. What I think as somebody who is, in this kind of world all the time, we can create egregores with mass belief. So even if he was a real guy and did these things, we can be adding fuel to the fire, sensationalising it, and creating more of a thought form than we realise. But regardless, the guide kept calling on him, so he was around. But not only him, one of the spirits who is commonly known to be quite playful was a little girl called Eleanor, and she attached to me. She took favour with me, you could say. My dowsing rods kept going like this, and I've used dowsing rods, I've got my own. I've never had a dowsing rod do that, and in my mind's eye it was as if I could see a little girl hanging off the end of them, like playing with them. That's what it felt like. Now, like I said, I'd asked Hecate to protect and done a spell with her, and I really felt Hecate's presence with me throughout this time. The guide said Eleanor attaches to women normally, mother figures, and I thought, well, I've got the biggest mother figure there is with me, so it's no wonder. Now, in my bag with me wasn't just my pendulum and stuff. I had a little crystal that was Hecate's, and it's in the shape of a howling wolf, as if it's a wolf howling at the moon. It was a little tiger's eye carving. I've had it for many years. It lives on Hecate's altar. It's been used in spells with her, and I normally take it with me places when I need her to be with me, a bit of a confidence boost. It's even gone with me on job interviews and all sorts, so it means a lot, this little crystal. But the little girl took a shine into it, and I just felt it was the right thing to do. I gave it to her. After this room, we were going into the Great Hall, and to go into the Great Hall in the castle, you have to walk through the chapel. It's a small little Christian chapel within the castle. The guide said to leave the crystal in the chapel, and he told me specifically where, and I didn't know why. He didn't explain. I didn't ask. But finding out after, Eleanor's skeleton was found within that chapel. And where I left the little crystal on a pew at the back, whether it stays there or not, I mean, I've left it for her. If someone takes it or moves it, it would be very sad, but I've left it for her. But that was her final resting place. Apparently no one knows what happened to her, why, but it's very sad, very, very sad. And it's not the only skeleton found within this castle. You may have heard of the Blue Boy legend, one of the towers. People were saying that they were haunted by the spirit of a little boy who had a blue sort of shimmer to him. In the 1920s, when it was being refurbished, they found the skeleton of the boy in the room, and it had a blue tinge to it. It suggested poisoning. So there's been a lot of death and tragedy at this castle, and children sadly are involved, and I hate that, you know. But yeah, gave her the crystal. So after this, we're in the great hall next door. Inside is a long medieval style table, and the guide with us, Richard, he brought some equipment up. He had Ouija boards spirit boards, he had EMF readers, the cat ball things. He also had a spirit box, and he was doing something called the Estes method, which in paranormal investigation, it is where you have noise cancelling headphones connected to a spirit box and a blindfold on. The person who is listening shouts out the words they hear from the spirit box. If you don't know what a spirit box is, it's a manual FM radio cycling through the different channels, and if you hear a word, it's said that is a message from a spirit. So the Estes method is doing that blindfolded and unable to hear anything else going on, so you're not influenced. I take it with a pinch of salt. That's the way I am. So while they were doing that, I was like with a pendulum board with my pendulum, and I used the guy's tarot cards because I left my tarot cards in the car. Something told me to. I brought a little set with me, and the guy, he only had the major arcana, but I used them still. It wasn't as in depth as it would normally be for me, but yeah. So I'm using this spirit board, like the pendulum board, and across from me I can just feel a nasty energy. It's like in my mind's eye I knew it was a man, as if he was shouting at me, and I could hear the word in my mind, heretic and zealot, over and over, those two words. When I was pulling cards from the major arcana, he kept giving me the devil and hierophant. Those cards kept coming out, and it felt like someone really religious was shouting at me. Now, when I was a teenager and we went there, that kind of thing did happen. So I was trying to take it with a pinch of salt. I was letting the others do their thing, just staying quiet doing this. And it just felt eerie. Someone said they saw an orb flash past. It was a whole thing. I felt like I wasn't welcome, like they wanted me gone. When I went to stand up, one of my rings that I always wear snapped clean in half. I don't know how. I can't explain it. It's the one I used to wear on here. It had little... Sorry, I was swearing. I didn't mean to. It had little mushrooms on. I've got a different ring now. It was silver. I've had it over a year. Been wearing it months and months and months. No problem, no issue. And then all of a sudden it snapped clean in half. After that nasty spirit was like shouting at me. Only after I got home and I was looking up more information about Chillingham did I see that it was used as a monastery before it was a castle. And I know from when I was a teen in the woods around Chillingham, a lot of people were murdered, unalived in those woods. And one of the apparitions I saw as a teen was monks. It looked like monks. I don't know if it was a monk that was shouting at me that just didn't want me there, but it ties in with some stuff that happened as a teenager when I was there. So that was like, what? He snapped me ring? Rude. When we were walking out the room, I was like, well, whoever you are, you can F off and leave me be. Like, I know they say to show respect, and I was before that, but if you try and hurt me, no. Respect is lost. Same for living people as well. If somebody disrespects you, they don't deserve respect. So after that we went out to the woods because I'd mentioned the hanging trees, and Richard has apparently said he doesn't do it all that often now, but he would because we're a small group. So we went out there. I took some pictures. That's where I've seen something in one of the pictures, but there's a lot of different spirits there, hell of a lot of different spirits, and it's tragic, a lot of spirits that are there, there was something about the number 12 came up, and something about protection, which I know was Hecate, but I felt totally fine, even though it's a tragic place, because I was respectful, After that, we went back in the castle. I spotted, and the guide didn't mention this, but I'd looked it up after. I spotted like an almost shrine to this woman called the Spanish Witch. And apparently, as legend says, she was a witch, a Spanish witch, as the name suggests, that was visiting the castle, that was unalived there, but put a curse on the castle. And that if anyone takes anything from the castle or harms it or whatever, they'll be cursed. Loads of things go wrong. To me, as a witch, that sounds like a protection spell. That sounds like a protection ward on the castle. That's the way I see it. But she has a whole shrine, an altar to her, where people over the years have written letters of apology and sent things back to her, what they've pilfered. And I'm like, you go, girl. You go, girl. Fellow witch there. But after that, we went up to the Edward room, which was named after King Edward. And apparently he stayed in that room. And apparently it's one of the most haunted rooms in the castle. Only looking up after, a big tragedy happened there where a lot of children were unalived. I'm not going to say much more than that because of YouTube. But we went in there and he said, does anyone want to do the Esther's method? And nobody would. So I volunteered. And like I've explained, the Esther's method is the headphones, the spirit box, the blindfold. I don't really know what went on because I swear I really couldn't hear. I could hear muffled things, like aside from the radio in my ears. You could hear like, when someone's muffly talking or like footsteps. You can't genuinely, I couldn't anyways, hear what was being asked and when. I didn't know any of that. I was just saying the words that I picked up on, and that's my interpretation as well. And all I remember was saying Arthur, Emma, loads of different numbers, like they were counting in different ways, and then silver dagger and a swear word. He said the F word too. But according to who I was with, a lot of spooky things were happening there, and tapping and banging on things, but I didn't witness any of that. So that was the experience as a whole. I'll have put on screen the pictures that I could take, like I say, because there's others there who've paid to be there. Didn't want to disturb their experience, and I wasn't allowed to film, and I respect that. I'm not going to be an a-hole. I filmed me walking outside. That's it. I'm not going to do that. That's just disrespectful. It's Richard's job. The castle are earning their money off it. It's their thing. Yeah, I did inquire about it, and it will cost a heck of a lot of money. So maybe one day, if I ever get that money, we can come full circle and I'll go back and I'll film. If you look up Chillingham Castle on YouTube, the likes of Sam and Colby, I hadn't heard of them before, but these paranormal channels with millions of followers, yeah, they've got the money to do that, but I don't. So that's on hold for now, but I respect that. Now, I may as well tell you what happened when I was a teenager and what made me believe what I remember, if you're interested. If you're not interested, that was it for this time. I will be going back later in the year. Stay safe, stay witchy, all that jazz. If you want to learn my story from being a teenager, then let's go, let's do it. Okay, so I was 18. Me and my friends at the time went, and like I've already said, I didn't know what the heck it was. I didn't know it was a haunted castle. I was a scaredy cat. Before then, when I was in school, it was like I was 14. I looked into witchcraft and Wicca, and I was drawn to it. And then I scared myself and stopped, to be honest, because I was doing a spell and some freaky things happened. And I went, oh, this is too much for me. So I'd always believed, but I wasn't quite sure. But this cemented my belief in the paranormal. My friends at the time and me, we were all alternative. It was the age of MySpace and emo scene, gothic stuff. A couple of my friends at the time were wearing pentacles like this, like necklaces. So we were staying over in the coach house for a couple of nights. So at Chillingham Castle, there's different apartments they've done out within the castle itself you can stay in, and they've also got the coach rooms, which were once where they kept the horses and the coaches back in the day. They've converted them out into apartments as well. And what I remember the layout is, you went up some stairs through the main door, then it's a big sitting room, living room, open plan going into a kitchen because it's self-catering with the oven, all of that. Then there's a door and one long hallway with the bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. I think 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms off the top of my head. So the first night we go out. I'm going to have a sip of water. Before we do, because we're young, we're daft, we have some drinks. Now on that ghost hunt that I've just been on, it says nobody under the influence of alcohol. I know now, as a witch, as a spiritual person, it's not just because people are rowdy and stuff. Spirits are called spirits for a reason. They lower your defences and open you up more. So, yeah, if you are going to be doing anything like that, don't drink alcohol. I didn't know that. So we'd all had a drink, apart from one person. And that's important to bear in mind. This is what made me believe, because one of them, she had a liver problem. She couldn't drink alcohol. So we'd all had a drink apart from her. So the people who were there was me, 3 girls. 2 of them were a couple, a gay couple together. The other girl who can't drink alcohol. And then 2 guys, not a couple. Not that that matters. I don't know why it mattered me saying that. Anyways, doesn't matter to me. Okay. So 7 of us. Yeah. That's right, isn't it? Yes. No. 6. Can't count. Duh. Anyways, right, that's who was there. Now, one of the guys who was there was into spirituality. He said he had a spirit guide. So I kind of clung to him the whole time. We were all friends, but except from that one guy. That one guy was one of the girls' cousin. And I'd never really met him before. I didn't really know him. So I got to know him, and I was quizzing him everything he knew about spirits and all of this. So that first night we went out, I was truly sceptical. We first went in Chillingham, at the back of the castle. There's the woods, the castle, and then like a pathway out. You can go out of the grounds, and there's a tiny chapel thing with a graveyard. So we went up there first. It was scary, but it was peaceful. And I remember saying to the guy, right, if spirits are real, tell your spirit guide to go up next to this chapel and do this. I was being stupid, And then I took a picture. Took loads of other pictures. After that, we went into the woods where the hanging tree was and all the people were unalived. And it felt horrible. It felt like there was a crowd of people, like probably hundreds, just staring at you. And it's that sort of pitch black that you can't see past your nose, I legged it back to our apartment, and I'm not the fittest person even back then. Hopped over a fence and everything Now, I took my laptop with me at the time and we were looking through the pictures. Spoiler, the picture like this, you could see mist, the outline of a face, hollows where eyes were meant to be, and then an arm doing that. And that's the picture I wish I had the most. It was mind-blowing. And then in the woods, when it felt like loads of people staring, took loads of pictures, just mist in shapes of people as if they're standing there, just so much mist. And then in the background, it looked like 3 hooded figures. And I'm assuming that's the monks. There's something in the woods, it's called the priest's path, where they would walk from the monastery or something like that. And apparently they would help people in the woods. Well, yeah, that was picked up in the pictures. And that's why I'm like, damn, I wish I had them. I was so scared though. That's my evidence, but it was enough to make me believe those pictures. Now, it wasn't just the pictures that happened. Now, bear in mind, apart from the one girl, we'd all had a drink. And I mentioned about us all being alternative because 2 of the girls were wearing the pentacles, necklaces. They started acting very funny, like dizzy, feeling sick, feeling shaky. One had had alcohol, the other one not 1 drop of alcohol, and they both felt like that. And I just knew even back then, I kind of took charge in that moment and said, take your necklaces off, put them in one of the bedrooms, put them in the bedroom the furthest away. And then I said, I am not staying in those bedrooms. We are all camping out in this living room apartment. And we dragged all the mattresses out and we camped in the living room. And they were being daft, not the 2 girls. One of the guys, he put horror movies on. I don't like horror movies, but I wasn't bothered. I wasn't scared of the movies. I was scared of what was happening. The door kept opening and slamming. Nobody was doing anything. So that really made me believe, really, really. No other words for it. I can't remember much of what happened the night after. It was that first night that really set it in stone. I think the night after we were more sensible about it. But something or someone had followed us back from the woods. They didn't like the necklaces. And that ties in with what happened in the ghost thing. I think there's some really nasty religious spirits there. Now, because someone's a spirit doesn't mean they're going to drop everything. Like, if someone's nasty in life, they can be nasty in death. And I do think, given the day and age, there's probably some spirits there that hate pagans, that hate anyone different, hateful spirits. That's what it seems followed us back. But the churchy place, the congregation, the spirits from the graveyard, helped us back, protected us from that. So even though the door was slamming and stuff, nothing mega bad happened. Could have been worse. So that's what happened to me when I was 18. And I did have those pictures and I stupidly deleted them when I was young because I was frightened. Because it was frightening. So even though I haven't got pictures to show you the evidence per se, it doesn't matter. You don't have to believe me on any of this. But for me, there was no going back once I'd seen that, And now, who I am now, and having visited again, it was like a cakewalk. And I don't mean that to be cocky. It's just, I know the protocols. I know when to show respect and stuff. Like one of my friends said, oh, did you get any dirt from Chillingham, because dirt is powerful in magic. No, I didn't. I just didn't feel it was right to do that. I left an offering, even subconsciously, with the crystal. I showed my respects, and that's that, you know. When I go back later in the year, I'll be staying overnight. It won't be on a ghost tour, but I'm going to do my own little bits of things where I can. I think it'll be very interesting. So watch this space. It'll be in a few months. Watch this space. But if you made it this far, well, thanks for listening. Hit subscribe if you want to learn more on the channel. I talk about all sorts of witchy things, paganism, occultism, Hecate, all sorts. Go check it out. And until next time, stay safe, stay witchy. Bye.